It's just in, Japan has pissed off China to a level that you would not believe. And there is a far-right movement happening all across the world, across several countries. As you all know, it happened in Japan with them hating on local foreigners, also denying what happened in Southeast Asia and in Nanjing. But this is also happening across Europe, and it's happening in Poland where they're denying the Holocaust. It's happening in Germany with the AfD, and also it's happening in Austria as well. This is a global phenomenon. It is not just happening in one or two countries. It's also broken into Western countries like the US, where they even in certain states are putting in their textbooks that slavery is basically something that was good and it's being sanitized. And so the far right movement is bigger now than it ever was since World War II. And it is not just anti-Semitism, it's anti-everyone. Basically, they want everyone to leave their country and go back to where everyone came from. It is a massive, massive global movement.
This is a clear sign that there is need for change. There is need for change. If you've done something and you are not able to look back proudly and appreciate what you've been able to do, then there's something wrong somewhere. And erasing, lying, falsifying, denying isn't the solution for this. You are not ready to embrace change. You are not ready. And we are here to share our thoughts. I share compilations of TikTok and Red Note videos for educational purposes. If you're new here, I am bringing to you this compilation so that you can learn from the past. Like the video for recommendations, subscribe if you're new here, turn on the bell so that you get notified whenever I upload a new video, and let's dive into this. Let's check this video together. How has China been able to deal with their oppressors after the whole genocide that happened?
Hi guys. Recently in China, a film called Nanjing Photo Studio hit theaters, and soon another one might follow, 741. These are not just movies, they are Schindler's List, our Son of Saul. They show the horrors we live through, but I will be honest, they are still too soft, too restrained, because the truth was far, far worse. During World War II, over 35 million Chinese were injured or killed. Not soldiers, just civilians. I think a lot of people already know this part of history, but today let's talk about something many people don't know. How we treat the invaders after the war. When Japan surrendered, China and the US came together in Shanghai to figure out how to send Japanese Poles and settlers back to Japan. There were nearly 3 million of them on Chinese soil, so the US 7th Fleet carried out the operation. Starting in November 1945, Japanese Poles and settlers were gathered from across China and shipped out from 12 major ports. It took over a year, but in November 1946, all of the Japanese nationals were sent home. Over 1.2 million were soldiers and the rest were civilians. And guess who paid for all of it? China did. We fed them, housed them, protected them. Each person was allowed to take 30 kilos of grain, clothes, personal items, and cash. We followed the Geneva Conventions to the letter. They were given shelter, medical care, and food, the same food our own soldiers got. That's how we treat our enemies. The one who brutalized us, could set our cities on fire, could bury people alive, could turn women into comfort women, and babies into target practice. We still treat them like human beings. And you know what? We didn't have to treat them like that. That's not some global standard. You know what was the global standard at that time? Take a look at the Soviets. They sent Japanese Poles to freeze and rot in Siberian labor camps. The Australians buried them alive in post camps using flamethrowers. The Israelis hunt down Nazi war criminals and kill them one by one. That's the global standard. But us, we let them go home, fed, clothed, unharmed. Many of those Japanese soldiers couldn't believe it. They thought we would kill them. They thought we would take revenge. They thought we would torture them to death. They were terrified. But we didn't. We showed mercy. We tried to be humane. And what did we get in return? Of course, some soldiers were moved. They went back to Japan and told the truth about the war, the massacres, the crimes. They admit what they did. They warned the next generation. However, The Japanese government silenced them. Labeled them as traitors, erased their voices from the national history. As for the rest, many returned home as heroes. Some kept worshipping the war criminals who led them. There's a statue in Japan called the Cold Cannon, the Blood's Bodhisattva. After the Nanjing Massacre, General Mashu Iwing took jars of blood-soaked Chinese soil back to Japan, and he used that blood to forge a 3.3 meters tall statue facing southwest toward Nanking to appease the souls. The souls of those criminals, of course, because under that statue, hidden in the stone, are the ashes of Tojo Hideki, a man responsible for the deaths of millions, buried by right-wing extremists who still see him as a hero. And this is the truth they don't want you to know. Some people might say, that was history. That's not who they really are right now. And I was like, really? If so, please explain what just happened on July 20th, 2025. In Japan's latest election, far-right extremists, the Sensato Party, just gained real political power. And their campaign slogans? Japan first, we build a nation centered around the emperor, teach patriotic history, and massively increase military spending. Sounds familiar, right? That's not the past coming back, my friend. That's just the past never having left. And you know what hurts most? No one cares. It seems like in today's world, kindness is weakness, justice is optional, and doing the right thing often leads to nothing. We showed humanity, we followed the rule. And what did we get? Silence, revisionism, far-right extremist national pride. That's what we get. Anyway, I hope more people can learn this part of history. Peace and love.
That was so deep. It was touching as well. But we are not here to erase history. We are here to learn from history. They say China only copies, but I would say that China reinvents. China has the new way, better way of handling things. And we've seen so many things that they've been able to do that don't follow the global order, but they are far better than what we consider the standard. So recently I've been seeing videos on my For You page on TikTok speaking of Chinese being upset. So I never knew this part of history. And wow. I understand why they're pissed. I understand.
One of the things that they did that pissed off China was they came out saying that the Nanjing Massacre was fake and that it never happened.
Japan doesn't want the world to know what they did, but I'm here with the truth today. I just went to see the movie Dead to Rights, which is about the Nanjing Massacre, and it takes place right after the fall of Nanjing, which used to be the capital of China. Over 300,000 people lost their lives during the massacre, and while watching the movie, I really felt the hopes, the dreams, the lives, and the heartbreak of each person. I cried from the beginning to the end of the movie. And the worst part, the Japanese has lied to its people that this ever happened. They've never formally apologized, and they've tried to wipe it from the world's history in general. But guess what? It hasn't worked. Iris Chung was one of the first people to expose what happened in Nanjing. She broke a 6-decade-long international silence on the matter. Did you know that even Nazis were freaked out about what the Japanese did in Nanjing? This brings me to my next hero, what some call the good Nazi, John Raab. He rescued over 250,000 civilians by using his Nazi status. When he would see people who needed rescuing, he would show his armband, he would say some things in German, scare them, and then take them to safety into what's called the safety zone, which he helped to establish. This movie is a 10 out of 10. It's hard to watch, but I think it's a must watch. Everything that you see the Japanese do in the movie really happened in real life. The story follows a Chinese man who was forced to develop film for a Japanese war photographer. The pictures showed horrific things that the Japanese did to the Chinese. As they were developed in the dark room with the red light, I felt like they were dripping in blood. The photographer capturing these images showed that even though this wasn't a gun, it was just as bad as a gun, because capturing these evil things happening is also evil. The characters had a lot of depth, and the character development showed the transformation of what happens to people during war. For the Japanese, they just got more and more twisted. But for Chinese people, in the beginning, they just wanted to flee. They were so desperate. But in the end, you could see that deep down, Chinese people have a pure heart full of empathy, and Chinese people at their core are good people. This is something that I see mirrored in present day, and a huge reason why I want to live in China and raise my kids here. Chinese people were never the ones going off and starting fights or wars. And the most incredible part of this movie didn't happen on screen. It's what's happened in real life 80 years later. Despite the hell, the torture, the horrific things that happened, China has rebuilt and is stronger than ever. Like a phoenix, they rose. I feel proud to live in a country where people have so much strength and resilience. Have you seen this movie, or do you plan on going to see it? And for my foreign friends out there, I know this won't be advertised for, so I hope that as many people as possible can see my video. Go watch it. It's a must-see. It's history that we weren't taught in schools, but we should have been. It's the forgotten Holocaust.
The massacre of Nanjing, China will forever be etched in my brain. The fact that I did not learn about this in school is what really gets me. If you haven't heard of this brutal point in history, this is during the Second Sino-Japanese War, and Japan invaded Nanjing, China, which used to be the capital of China, not Beijing. For 6 weeks, they unleashed what had to be their own version of what hell would be like. When I tell y'all the things that I read about, I don't even... The facts are so horrible that author of the book, The R-Word of Nanking. Now, is it Nanking or Nanjing? That's what I'm always confused about. But anyway, the author of that book literally unalived herself. Like, during the time that she was learning the facts, she became severely depressed. And at 36, she was found in her room alone because she just could not handle what she learned about the evil of this world. Y'all, I watched a clip of a documentary covering this massacre, and this guy was talking about how he was fleeing. He was fleeing with his mother, with his baby brother Fafa, and a Japanese soldier came and jabbed her, if you know what I mean. TikTok, this is for educational purposes only, please do not ban me. But they jabbed her in front of her kids, and she almost dropped her baby, but she managed to catch the baby, and when the soldier saw that she wasn't unaliving, he jabbed her again and left her there. The guy, when he was just a kid, was like, oh my gosh, mom, are you okay? She couldn't speak. She could only move her mouth while she's just bleeding out. At this point, she had dropped her baby. And during the chaos of it, she kept motioning with her eyes to him, and he knew what she wanted. He said, okay, I'll go look for Fafa, because they heard a baby crying in the distance. When he finally found Fafa, he was crawling over a bunch of unalived bodies. He brought him back to the mother, and she let him breastfeed one last time, because I'm assuming she knew how long it would take that he would ever eat again. And she literally unalived while trying to nourish her baby. And he recalled with tears in his eyes the desperation. He didn't know what to do. His mom was unalived and he had his baby brother, like what? And there was another story of this girl that was hiding under the table, and a Japanese soldier took her mother and her 1-year-old baby brother outside and forced her to watch as they bludgeoned this 1-year-old in front of the mom. I look a mess, and I had to, I literally look bald. I had to come on here and talk about Unit 731. Guys, the amount, the capability of evil that humans are able to reach genuinely scares me. So if you don't know about Unit 731, it's basically a Japanese, unaliving camp that was made in World War II, where the Japanese took prisoners from where they had conquered, like Mongolia, Russia, Korea, China. They brought these people, and I'm not just talking about men, I'm talking about men, women, children, infants, pregnant women, anyone they could get their hands on. They brought them to Unit 731 and did unspeakable things to them, all led by this man, Shido Ishii. You know how people be saying you could see it in the eyes? You can see it in the eyes. Just look at his eyes.
Let me clarify myself. I will never say Chinese should forget what Japan did to us. Never forget, okay? I'm saying that we should not focus on revenge. Actually, I believe most people are not focused on revenge, okay? In terms of hitting the back or even occupy Japan one day, one eye for an eye. No. That's not what we want. The best revenge is to prove the other side wrong. Japan invade China because Japan think Japanese is superior to Chinese. They should rule over Chinese. That's their mistake. We need to prove that wrong. We need prove that Chinese are not inferior to Japanese. I think we are proving that already. This is the part that as Chinese, we really don't understand why Japan and US are scared of China. After all, in World War II, it is Japan who invaded China, occupied half of China. We lose a lot of faith. But till this day, I hear no Chinese talking about revenge in terms of fighting Japan. There's a revenge in terms of making us strong and show Japan the example that how peaceful can. We told Japan that you learn a lot from China, but you miss the core lesson. The core lesson of choose peace over war anyway. But in terms of the United States, we just want to become a better country by economic growth. Why scare of China? You have 800 military base, we have 1. But then I understand a little bit. It's like when Jackie Chan said, I don't want trouble. You hear? You don't want trouble. That I can understand.
I know of countries that have gone through genocide, and it has been a way of them surviving, opening organizations around the event, even though it was a tribal kind of genocide. But this is a different nation coming to invade you, and you're teaching love, you're teaching unity, you're teaching, yes, your history. You are not supposed to forget, but also you can't deny your people the truth. They need to know so that they are not surprised, because history never left, as you have heard. Yeah. How many elements of histories are we seeing repeating themselves? And I have to say what I said at the beginning of the video. If you're not able to learn from history, it means you're still rooting for the same thing you did. So that's the problem right here. But we are not going to be silent. This is what the world needs. A new order of things. We are tired. We are all tired with these things. Can we be peaceful at least? I read a comment that was saying that there are people who benefit from war. But what do you benefit? If you're not able to look back and be proud, but rather propagating lies, labeling genocide as fake. Seriously? It's engraved in people's hearts. It's engraved in people. It can't be erased. It doesn't matter how long it takes. And this also informs even the credibility of the education system. Which one can we trust? If you're erasing history, it means that even your education system isn't right. What is this? Anyway, it's been upsetting. It's been what it is. But what do we do? Share your thoughts in the comment section, like the video for recommendations, subscribe if you're new here, tell us what you think. I really want to hear from you, but kindly don't mention the word. Use coded language, kindly. Maybe G-side, put some commas, just do something to erase words that will have our comments deleted. Yeah. Kindly do so. I'm glad to have you here. Thank you so much for your support.